Welcome to another episode of Diaries of a Life Coach. My name is Larissa Dalton, and I am your host. This podcast documents my journey of building a life coaching business, where I talk about the steps I took to create my company, build my clientele, my coaching experiences, discoveries, and transformations. But today, I'm so thrilled and excited to introduce my guest, Kusum Basavaraju. She is a transformation and result-oriented coach. So without further ado, Kusum, please tell us about yourself and how you ended up on this coaching journey.
It's a long story, Larissa, but first, thank you for having me on your platform. I get really excited when people want to talk about coaching because there's a lot of misconceptions about this industry in and of itself. So thank you for, just bringing more light to this topic and educating people about what coaching is to begin with. But how did I get started with coaching? Up until last year, I'm going to be very honest, I had no idea what a life coach is, how they can help somebody. So I only thought you probably went to a life coach if you had some issues in your life and you wanted to sort that through, or more so, as we know, career coaches are the ones that probably people like I would think of going to. But before that, I've been blogging for a few years now, blogging and social media influencer. So what happened was everything that I was sharing on these platforms was basically to inspire people through my own stories and my own learnings and whatever would work for me. That's exactly what I would share with people there on these platforms to kind of inspire them, empower them, and influence them to make whatever changes works for them. I think end of 2019, I do enjoy blogging. It's amazing. It's great. I love what I do on an ongoing basis. But end of 2019, I was like, I have fun, but I think there's more to this than what I'm already doing. And I did not know what that meant and what that looked like. But I'm huge on goals. So end of 2019, I put down something to the effect of figure out what next for your career and profession and business in 2020. That was one of my big goals for my business last year. And as luck would have it, Jay launched his the Jay Shetty Certification School in March. I think, to be very honest, I ignored the first few sets of emails that I got about the announcement that they were going to launch the school. I'm like, I have no idea what a life coach is. So this is not something that, you can be interested in. But I think in February, I got curious. February of 2020, I got curious. I was like, maybe it doesn't hurt for me to just have a conversation with one of their enrollment advisors. So I scheduled a call, and everything that person was explaining to me kind of spiked my interest. And like, this probably sounds like something that I would really enjoy doing. And even when I was thinking of signing up, I never really thought that this is exactly what I wanted to do as my next step towards furthering my career and helping people. But once I enrolled in the course, the way that I enrolled is if nothing comes out of this, it would still be a huge help for me to further my own growth, because I'm a personal development junkie, so to speak. So I'm always trying to learn something new, how I can better my own life and, try and influence people in my own life. So it's like, I can just, go through life coaching through the Jay Shetty Certification School. And because I love Jay and his messaging and everything that he shares on his platforms, I'm like, I will give this a try. And what do you know? Within very few short months, I went from not having an idea who a life coach is, what a life coach does, how they can help somebody. I am a huge proponent of how a life coach can help anyone and everyone. And as you know, we are life coaches and we still need life coaches at the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's kind of how I got into life coaching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting because I did not know anything about the coaching world either until I was laid off work. But and my journey was that when I was laid off, I was looking to rejoin like the business world, but with something that gave me meaning and satisfaction and purpose. Those were the things that were like primarily important for me. And I definitely found it in life coaching. But I had no idea life coaches existed. But now looking back, though, like when I look at my corporate life, I definitely see where I had certain people that coached me through certain processes. Now I would say, oh, this was like totally a business coach, for me. But it's interesting how that is. And another interesting point you made is that, like you, I too, when I started looking at life coaching, that we think the people that are in trouble that need life coaching. Instead, life coaches also serve as somebody to take you to the next level. And I think that's important point that you kind of alluded to in your discussion.
Yeah. Because the way I see it is, we are always a work in progress, and learning is a lifelong journey. There's no destination. It's just enjoying the journey. And nobody ever gets it right at all times, and nobody's ever perfect. But the way I see, at least for myself, is I want to be a better person day by day after day after day. I want to be better than who I was yesterday. And all of that can only happen if I have the necessary tools or the people in my life to help me see what's next for me, regardless of how amazing life is, or how unfortunately last year we did see that, because of the pandemic, there's been huge impacts on several people's lives in so many different ways. But yeah, regardless of how amazing life is or what curveballs life throws, we can always use these tools to help us get through to the next level.
All right, Kusum, can you tell us a little bit what you focus on with your clients, like what your niche is, what you're seeing the most results with your clients?
Yeah. So basically, I call myself a transformation mindset and success coach, because the way I see it is everything is in here, right? Everything is the stories that we make up, the beliefs that we've grown up to believe. And mostly everything is conditioning, whether it is something that we have picked up by watching others around us, or something that, our family projecting something that they saw onto us. And that's how I see it. And that's where I've been able to help my clients the most, is helping them rethink the way they think, because they don't even know, because this is exactly how they've lived their life for the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? So basically helping them understand what about their thoughts and what about their beliefs and what about those negative self-talks that keep coming up is actually in their way, and not allowing them to actually take the next step, right? It's not about like reaching the next big step. It's about taking those small little steps day after day. So basically breaking it down to the simplest things that come up for them on a daily basis, and helping them catch themselves. Where is this coming from? And digging deeper to understand what serves them now. Maybe something that they believed probably served them 10 years ago, but it's not going to serve them anymore, because we all evolve and we all grow. And sometimes we have to just let things go. So helping them understand what serves them right now. What do they need to let go of? How do they need to rewire their thinking, their mindset? What needs to change? Helping them understand that for themselves, to see where, especially based on where it is that they are trying to get to next. What is their next goal, whether it is in their career, because I've helped women that I'm working with right now switch careers, or, start some projects that they've always been thinking about starting, but never really took the first step or the next step and did anything about it. And more often than not, what I see is when we are trying to address what's happening in here, it impacts every aspect of their life, right? So some people came to me to build their confidence. That was just one aspect. And as we start digging deeper, we see the impacts of that in their work, in their relationships, how they show up as a mom, how they show up as a wife, how they show up as a friend, right? So it's basically trying to address every single category. It's been very interesting for me too, because I've not been doing this for too long. So the longest clients that I've been working for right now is one that I've been working for the last 7 months, and it's incredible to see her journey so far. And that warms my heart. I'm like, wow, if I'm able to help women, change their lives the way they want to and transform their lives and become better moms or wives or better just humans, right? Just be happy with themselves, accept themselves as who they are, and love themselves for who they are. I think that just brings me the most joy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible. And can you imagine like the force, you're lining up somebody strategically aligns with you and you talk about your vision, your goals, what you want to achieve in your life, and somebody's right there with you, that I think that's so, so powerful, And in our coaching sessions, clients do come and they unpack and whatever, interferences come along the way, they're able to talk about in our coaching sessions, and they're able to process them and let go and refocus on their goal, which I think why coaching is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I get to learn so much from my clients. They always inspire me. And that's something that I say, that I only want to work with other women. They don't, more often than not, they don't see their own potential, right? That's just how we've all conditioned ourselves to be. But being on the other side, you see what they are capable of doing in their life if they can just let go of those little things that are not serving them anymore. So we pick up, being coaches, we pick that up being on the other side. And I draw so much inspiration from these people that I work with. So that's one of my criteria to work with clients is if I don't get the feeling of, oh, this person can inspire and challenge me in whatever ways, then I don't feel like I am the right coach for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's creating that relationship together. It's not a one-way monologue, right? It's a dialogue, and we're always co-creating that relationship with our clients. And I want them to feel the exact same way. So I'm just here to help them with whatever they want.
Yeah, that's amazing. So can we talk a little bit about your job as influencer?
Yeah.
So as influencer, you are influencing people, right? To use certain products, certain behaviors, maybe travel, whatever it might be. And as a coach, you're kind of uncovering what the person wants from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Really. So how do you balance the two? On the one hand, you're influencing, and on the other hand, you're helping to uncover.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you use the term influencer, because that's how we, we are represented as influencers, right? But I don't honestly like to call myself an influencer, because the way I see it is, I can be inspired by any post that I see on social media, any person that I meet, and they can influence me in the smallest ways on an ongoing basis. I also keep using my son as a reference, because he influences me every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not called an influencer, right? Our families or friends. So the tag or the label that we give to ourselves as influencers is something that I don't really like to associate myself with, but it's just what the industry recognizes us by, and I use that label for the lack of a better word right now. But it's interesting you asked me that question, because that was the same question that I had before I, launched my life coaching business, because I've always been this person, and I put myself out there. My real life is already on social media or blog or everywhere. I'm okay to share anything about my life with others. So one of the biggest questions that I had was, people who will reach out to me, they already have certain, preconceived notions about me and what I think and what I like or dislike, etc. So I did not want that to be something that stops people from approaching me. And I've always tried to create a very safe and judgment-free space, whether it is my clients or other people that I try to interact with, because we're all different people. And I've always been, even before I became a life coach, I've always been okay with the fact that we are all different people, and it's completely okay for us to have different perspectives as long as we're respectful, right, of each other's opinions and likes and dislikes. It never bothers me. So I've tried to just, when I have the first discovery session or something like that, when we have the clarity call or the first few calls that I have with my clients, I just make sure that they completely understand, regardless of what I share has nothing to do with what they need to do in their life. Right? Mm-hmm. So that they let go of any kind of biases, because I don't go into a coaching session with having any preconceived notions about my clients. I try to meet them where they are at all times. And what works for me and what works for you will never work for them unless that is something that they want to do on their own. So that's something that I've always tried to keep at the top of my mind, given that I'm also a blogger and influencer, to make sure that the clients don't feel intimidated before they approach you, but feel empowered to approach you and be okay with opening up to me and sharing whatever it is that they want to share.
Yeah. So I do see what you're saying, that you don't want to kind of associate yourself with like influencer. And I feel like there has been a little bit of negative connotation with that term. But the reality of the matter is influencers are actually influencing people. Millions of people follow them. Millions of people buy product and whatever it is that they're selling, And I think I just recently saw an article about government hiring influencers to spread political agenda. I mean, it's recognized that, people and I think I was listening or reading a book. Maybe I read a book called Influencer. That there's a little bit of a sort of, the actors and a little bit of kind of like, now all these people, they're not even famous. How are they influencing people? We're actors. Like we have all this, anyways. So that was kind of interesting. But another thing I want to point out is when I worked in the corporate world, in the organization, our manager came up to me at one time and said, "Hey, you're an influencer in this company." And and he said, people are lining up to talk to you regardless of their rank or their status in the organization. And I definitely took that as a compliment because, I don't have authoritative power over some people in the organization, but I'm able to influence them anyways. So there's definitely a lot of power. So even though there is like this perceived negative connotation, I think people that are able to influence others have a lot of power.
Yeah. The way I see it is inspire and empower rather than influence, right? Yes, it's one thing when we are talking about products, because that's part of my job as well, what I do. But going back to the previous question you asked, as I became a life coach, I've also become even more stringent in the kinds of brands that I work with, because I've always been choosy when it came to working with brands, because unless their values aligned with mine, I would never want to work with them. But right now, because I'm trying to balance two different businesses, so to speak, I've become even more stringent in the kinds of brands that I associate with myself with and want to collaborate with, because I'm also evolving as a person. Yeah. Things are changing for me also in my life, my thoughts, my beliefs, etc. So I'm also changing my behaviors in whatever ways. So some of the brands that I would have probably worked with a year ago or two, I might no longer want to work with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I love that evolution. I think that shows progress and growth. Yeah. So what are some of the challenges that you're facing, as somebody who embarked on this new career of life coaching? And, if a new or somebody who's going through a program to be certified as a life coach, what kind of challenges did you face that you can maybe talk about and help them transition and embody the role of a life coach?
One of the things, as far as challenges go, I'm not sure if this is really a challenge or if this is just because of the industry. This is a very unregulated industry, right? So ever since I signed up to become a life coach, all I've been seeing around me is just, people calling themselves life coaches. And it's hard to make sure, unless you have that initial first conversation with the person, like the potential client or the prospect, so to speak, you don't know how you can set yourself apart from the get-go, because everybody is out there trying to sell their services, right? So setting yourself apart regardless of what is happening outside in the world is one of the biggest challenges that I would say still exists, unless you have established yourself. You've been doing this for a while and established yourself as a, life coach who can help other people. It is going to take a while. But for you and I and people from the school, I can say that at least having the certification from J. Sherry School in and of itself is kind of a segue into the market to say that, hey, I'm certified. I'm not just calling myself life coach because I went and advised people all my life, right? That's another misconception people have, that, oh, I've been doing this all my life. I've been giving advice to all my friends and family all my life, and now I can be a life coach. And that was also one of the misconceptions that I had to let go of. I don't sit here and give anybody any advice, right?
Yeah.
I help them come up with whatever solutions they want to for whatever it is that they're trying to overcome in life, the obstacles for themselves. So that was that still is kind of challenging, right? To help people understand, one, how can a life coach assist you regardless of where you are in your life, educating people, as well as making sure that you set yourself apart from every other person that's calling themselves life coaches just because they gave advice to like hundreds of people in their lifetimes.
As a life coach, your product essentially is you're your product.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to another life coach, and she's mentioned that, sometimes it's very challenging to embody that life coach persona. You question your abilities, your confidence, things like that. Do you ever experience it? Do you ever have those thoughts, where you have to like grab them by the neck and throw them out, or however you process them?
You mean the imposter syndrome?
You can say it that way, sure.
I don't want to sound arrogant, but this is something that I didn't honestly, I don't actually suffer from, as in lacking confidence or feeling like, hey, what the hell am I doing here? I have no idea. Who am I to, sit here and try to coach people through? The reason I say that is because I've always tried to use my weaknesses as my, try to see what can I learn from this? How can I leverage this to improve myself? So in those fleeting moments, even when something like that creeps up, for me, that's probably last 5 minutes, because I talk to myself. I have these dialogues with myself. Okay, where is that coming from? Hold on a second. Where is that coming from? Why are you feeling that way? What about that person is intimidating, and have you question your own abilities? And then I have to quickly remind myself that, hey, these are the people that have actually helped as being their coach. If not for me, they would have not had made these changes that they've always wanted to do, but didn't know how to make in their life. So I try to remind myself of that. And even before I launched my coaching business, I did not waste any time, right? When I enrolled in the school, I knew as soon as I graduated, I was going to launch my life coaching business immediately and not sit and wait around. Because that also comes from experience, that I was blogging for a while, where I was putting myself out there every single day. Because unlike you going to get a job outside in one company, it's a one and done process, right? You don't have to go while you still have to do better for yourself there and prove yourself and your value or your worth there to progress as an employee. But what happens in our case is, like, every brand that you approach is you're trying to sell yourself every single day. So that kind of, I think that helped me get better through that process. That helped me go through all of those cycles of, thinking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've always seen that, okay, where is this coming from? Why do I feel intimidated to, coach this person? Then that's telling me something, showing me something, that this is an area that I need to improve. Maybe I need to go do an additional course to help me, get better in this aspect of life coaching. But that's how I use it, instead of letting that get to me and not do what I do best. I use that as an indication to how can I get better.
Yeah. So I think you said two interesting things that I want to focus on a little bit for our audience. And first thing is that, basically you said that you go out there and you have to kind of sell yourself. You have to connect, you have to, so it matter of repetition. Yeah. By doing this over and over and over again, you've gotten really good, and you know who you are, you don't kind of steer, and the second thing is you self-coach yourself, and you also use like the way you talk about, I talk to myself and self-coach, is that you depart from the situation, you look objectively from a third person or second person. I just read this book called Chatter, and it's all techniques. He's giving many tools how to do that effectively to control the chatter in our mind. So that was like a perfect example of how to depart or take a step back and take a look and talk yourself through a situation. And it's so effective, just like you've illustrated. So I just want our audience to kind of focus on that and to get it, if they don't get anything else from this episode, that they look at these two things and learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you actually, stressed on that, because the way I see it, because I did not know I was doing this until I started going through the life coaching courses, is that I actually was self-coaching myself all my life. I did not know that's what I was doing. And that's why I was able to, that's why it's easier rather than going down that rabbit hole of, sulking for days and just questioning my own worth. I think just the fact that I've been able to self-coach myself and, come out the other side as a winner again, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But being able to do that all my life has really helped me, does really help me. But to be honest, do I have those instances every so often? Absolutely, yes. When I have to, give myself the pep talk, especially because in this career, when you are an entrepreneur and you're trying to build your business and brand and establish yourself, days can be really hard because there's nobody that you need to keep yourself accountable to except yourself. There's no manager. So if you feel like tomorrow, there's no deadlines, there's no nothing. If you feel like crap and you don't feel like getting out of bed, there are so many days that does happen, right? Especially if you're an entrepreneur. But I can either sulk for days together, or I can sulk for a few hours and then say that I've sulked right now. I'm done with that phase. Now, what do I need to do next, right? So that comes with practice, I would say.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then my final question to you, and this is kind of like on behalf of coaches, new coaches that are starting to build their business. So you're using, the Instagram as your platform. You're using Clubhouse. You're fairly engaged with the alumni community. How do you find clients? What would you recommend? Because you've now had a little bit of experience in different platforms, so you're kind of spreading out a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But what would you recommend, like for a brand new coach?
I would say whether you already have enough number of platforms where you establish yourself or you're just starting out, like I was saying, it's one step at a time. It's connecting with one person at a time, right? I never look at this as, hey, I need to talk to 25 people so I can have 25 clients. It's just about how can I serve this person? Mm-hmm. And I think I've also let go of coming from a place of I need to convert every person that I have a conversation with into my clients. I just go into any session feeling that I want to serve them as powerfully as I can during these 60 minutes, because that's how we start, right? I'm having a discovery call and they have breakthroughs they've all had. And it's really surprising that some of these people I'm meeting for the first time, I have no clue about who they are, what they do, anything about their life. And I don't know how much of my life or me they know before coming to me for these sessions, but I've been able to see it's very reassuring that, you're able to make an impact even during those 60 minutes when you have no idea about who these people are. And they have breakthroughs, aha moments within those 60 minutes. And that's very reassuring. And that boosts my confidence, right? Yeah, this is, you are capable of doing this. So if they feel like they do need that help and signing up with me as a coach is going to help them further in their life, great. But if not, they can always come back to me when they feel like the time is right, because this is a huge commitment. It's not just financial commitment, but once you get into coaching, you will have to go into those, areas that you never want to come to face.
Yes.
You have those harder conversations with yourself and say out out loudly to yourself and, acknowledge something that you never wanted to acknowledge. And there's a lot of moments where there's a lot of discomfort, but nothing happens outside of, if you're in your comfort zone, nothing really happens. So growth happens outside of your comfort zone. So it's like a huge commitment, right? Emotional commitment, time commitment, and having to show up even on the days that they feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have the energy to have a conversation with a coach today. So just making them feel empowered every time that I talk to them, I think really helps me letting go of that pressure that I need to convert every single person that I have a conversation with. So I believe in the energy that I put out.
This was a lovely conversation. I've learned a lot from this conversation. I hope our audience has as well. I'd love to, maybe have you come back in a little while and just kind of revisit where we are, where you are in the process and what's happening with Clubhouse and see how things are. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I will provide Kusum's Instagram handle and also her email address. And those are the two best ways of contacting her. So that'll be in the podcast notes. But thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thank you for shedding light on this aspect. Thank you.
Have any questions about today's episode? Just head over to my website, larissadalton.com/contact-info. and send in your request, or simply email me at larissadalton10@gmail.com. You can find my podcasts wherever podcasts are found. If you would like me to cover a specific topic, also submit that request via website or my email. Connect with me on Instagram at Larissa_Dalton, or book a complimentary session with me at larissadalton.com/coaching. Thank you again for joining me today, and I hope to see you next time.